In our last video, we looked at the 500 block of Huron Avenue on the west side. And today we want to go across the street to the east side and look at that same block. And today we see this building that sits on the corner. That's not the building that we want to look at. We want to look at the building that was before this building. In this photograph here, you can see part of the building in the background of this parade. And at this time it was a recruiting office. But here's a better photograph of the building. At this time, during this particular parade, what would we do without parades to see historical buildings? But at this time it was the Hotel Brown, and also it was a billiard parlor as well as other things that went into the north end of it. Notice the crown that sits on the top in the middle. I used to walk by this building many times as a boy and a young man and never thought too much about it other than it seemed to be kind of a dilapidated building at the time. But at one time, this building was the talk of the town. It was a Beehive Bazaar. And if you look close, you can see the signage just above the second floor where it says Beehive Bazaar. Go with the crowd. Everybody is going on the get up and get gate to the Beehive Bazaar. On foot, on horseback, in the electric cars, in GT, which stands for Grand Trunk, and F&P MRR, which stands for the Flint Pure Marquette Railroad, in sleighs and every other way to make their purchases of holiday goods. We have a fresh stock of all the latest novelties, the greatest variety of dolls, toys, albums, dressing cases, toilet cases, fine china, and glassware. Everything is nice, elegant, and cheap. Move quick, march lively to the Beehive, the largest and finest store in the country, a palace. Now, the Beehives might seem like a funny name for a store, but you have to recall this is part of the Maccabees group. The world headquarters of the Maccabees we looked at in our last video and was in this particular building right here on the opposite side of the street that we're looking at now. The Ladies of the Maccabees was an auxiliary group of the Knights of the Maccabees, and their groups weren't called clubs, they were called hives. Each city would have their own hive. And if you're wondering what LOTM, OTW stands for, is Ladies of the Maccabees of the World. In this photograph here of a parade of including the Ladies Maccabee different hives, as we zoom in, we can see the horse cover saying, Ladies of the Maccabees, Union Hive. The Maccabees had such tremendous growth, especially the Ladies Maccabees, that they soon outgrew the building on Huron Avenue and Bard Street. And the Lady Maccabees went into this building that we're familiar with, later became the junior college. The Ladies of the Maccabees had a small beehive store in the basement of the previous building on Huron Avenue and Bard Street, but they also outgrew their location. Here's something I thought was interesting. LOTM, Ladies of the Maccabees, and it shows a picture of the hive. I can't actually read what the banners say on each side of the hive, but perhaps it told which hive she was from. And this is actually a grave marker, so they were really into it. And in the newspaper dated October 13th, 1888, there was this article stating that the grand opening of the Beehive Bazaar would be on October 27th. I'll let you read this at your leisure, but I just want to highlight a couple of things. First one is this: the people from the country will be entertained during the day. At night, the inside and outside of the mammoth store will be illuminated. And if possible, we want our country friends to remain over and see it. A fine display of fireworks will be given from the top of the building in the evening, weather permitting. And the article ends with, come from every township, come from every state. Our store is large enough, don't be alarmed. Yes, come from every home, come across the lake. Come from every village, and you'll be greatly charmed. And when you purchase 50 cents worth of goods and upwards at the Beehive Bazaar, you'll be presented with a streetcar ticket. I just love looking at these old articles in the late 1800s, early 1900s. The newspaper used such tremendous descriptions to describe a store. Today, you only get that kind of description if you pay for an ad, but they were much more generous back in those days. The store is chuck jam full of tinware of all kinds, milk pans till you can't rest, at wholesale prices, in half or 1 dozen lots, milk pails with strainers, water pails, slop pails, etc. Everything in the shelf hardware line. A full line of plain and decorated crockery at fearfully low prices. Come and see and price our men's overalls, jackets, and shirts. An immense stock of ladies' and Mrs. hose and handkerchiefs, corsets, etc. An elegant line of laces from 1 cent per yard and upwards. And the Beehive Bazaar is the best place in the city to purchase new and second-hand school books, school supplies, and stationery. A splendid line of wall pockets and parlor book racks, elegant and cheap ladies and children's easy rocking chairs. A big stock of carriage whips from 10 cents upwards, fine feather dusters from 9 cents upwards. In fact, we have the finest and lowest priced goods in the city of Port Huron, as well as the largest and most attractive double store. 2 large double stores in one. Come and see us before making any purchases. It will pay you. The next article I'd like to show you I thought was very interesting, although I didn't understand it until I did some research. So I thought maybe I should lay out the research for you first and then show you the article so that you might better understand it. The presidential campaign of 1896 was an emotional one. On the Republican side, you had William McKinley, a vote for McKinley, and Greater America. Perhaps that was the first Republican Make America Great Again campaign button. And on the other side, you had William Jennings Bryan, I vote for Bryan and the Old Republic. The big issue of the day was unlimited silver coinage versus the gold standard. It brought out the same kind of emotions as gun control, abortion, or immigration today. Republicans generally favored gold coins and gold-backed paper money, arguing the gold standard, which restricted the money supply but had stable value, was good for business and therefore good for workers. Gold supporters believed that silver coinage would lead to fluctuations of values, ruin credit, and turn business decisions into a wild gamble. Democrats argued that a restricted money supply would lead to lower wages and depressed prices for farmers and others. These silverites, is what they were called, contended that adding silver coins to the money supply would make more money available for higher wages, farmers' profits, and debtors needing to pay off loans. It would also boost profits for Western silver mine owners and benefit their employees. These 1896 campaign buttons stating 16-1 refer to the weight ratio of silver to gold in the coinage of money. 16 ounces of silver equaled an ounce of gold. Of course, McKinley won and we kept the gold standard, at least until 1933 when Franklin Roosevelt had untethered the U.S. from the gold standard. Then in 1971, President Richard Nixon cut the last ties between the dollar and gold when he announced that the U.S. would officially no longer back the dollar with gold reserves. All right, let's get to the article in question. It says this: for governor, who was a favorite in Port Huron, an opportunity for the people to be heard. It gives the name of the people. Then it states, Beehive Bazaar opens a polling place. The voting on gold and silver to be continued. The Beehive Bazaar will open ballot boxes Monday, April 13th, and give everyone, men and women, an opportunity to vote for their choice of candidates, and keep the ballots open until May 15th. Wow, that's over 1 month. And it goes on to say, if you live in the country or even in the city and prefer to send in your ballots, send a postal card or any other card with the name of either one of the above 6 worthy men written on one side, sign it, and send it by mail to the Beehive Bazaar, Port Huron, Michigan, and it will be deposited in the box and counted. Well, so much for secret ballot. And it goes on to say, while the voting is going on, the proprietors of the popular Beehive Bazaar will sell you $1's worth of goods in their establishment for a gold dollar, intrinsic value 100 cents, or a silver dollar, intrinsic value 60 cents, or two $half-dollars, intrinsic value 50 cents, or 20 nickels, intrinsic value about 15 cents, or 100 pennies, intrinsic value 10 cents, or a greenback dollar, intrinsic value 1 cent, or any other form of a dollar, be it issued by the American or Canadian government, all pass current at our establishment. It almost would seem like the writer of this article was for the gold standard, because he says in here that the gold dollar is the only one that's actually worth 100 cents. But the Beehive, in their generosity, will take any of those, even though they're not worth 100 cents. I thought that was interesting. Now, you would think that the Beehive was owned by the Maccabees organization, or at least the ladies of the Maccabees organization, but no. It was owned by Nathan Boynton and his son. They were getting all the profits, not the Maccabees. If you've watched my previous videos, you realize that Nathan Boynton was quite the entrepreneur, and he didn't disappoint when it came to the Beehive. The Beehive Bazaar establishment was the only store in the city which was elaborately decorated on Thursday, and it was the center of attraction. The rabbit show and the show window of the Beehive attract thousands of people. The various species on exhibition form an exhibit worth seeing. Well, that's all I have on the Beehive Bazaar. Probably much more than you wanted to know, but it's history that has to be told. At least in my mind it does. Join me in my next video and we'll mosey down the street and see what there is to see.